Welcome to your first course inside Ultimate Academy. In this course, you're going to be learning exactly how to train for results in Ultimate so that you guys can start making a bigger impact on the field ASAP. Without further ado, I'd love to walk you through exactly how to get started and what to expect inside the course. But before we get there, number one, make sure that you watch this video on 1.5 times speed. So that way you can get in the value a little bit faster. Number two, make sure that you're taking notes along the way so that you don't forget. And number three, make sure that you finish the video because this is the most important video to watch up to this point. Sweet. With that being said, let's jump into it. By the end of this course, you'll have learnt how to think about Ultimate, how to approach a development in Ultimate to get results, and how to fast track your progress. So how to see results faster. You'll also start to implement winning habits. So these are ways that we can improve our environment to help us get results, again, faster. You'll also build a high leverage training plan. We're going to work through what that looks like together. And you'll also get the tools to get a quick win in your game. One of our early objectives when you're inside the group, inside Ultimate Academy, is to help you get a quick win in your impact on the field. So we're going to give you the tools to help you get a quick win in your game using this course as well. If that sounds like a plan, if you are ready to get started, if you are committed to seeing results in your game, this is what I want you to do. Number one, take out your notebook and pen. Get ready to take some notes and make sure you document exactly what you're learning so that you don't forget it. Number two, make sure that you finish one section at a time. Each of these videos are structured in a way that one video builds on the last. Okay, each video builds on the last. So it's really important that you finish one section at a time so that you can get that learning in a consolidated way that makes sense, that flows on from one another. Lastly, there's going to be worksheets and quizzes along the way. So it's really important that you complete those worksheets and complete those quizzes so that we can support you in helping you get that result on the Ultimate Frisbee field. Those worksheets and quizzes will be linked underneath each video so that you guys know exactly where to go and exactly how to use those to your advantage to help consolidate your learning. With that all being said, that's all you need to do for this particular video. Once that's done, mark this page as done on the top right hand side of your screen. Click onto the next page and then we're going to jump right into it. I'll see you in the next video. Welcome to section 1, where we're going to be going through how to think about Ultimate in relation to our development. So before we jump into it, we're going to watch the video on 1.5 times speed. We're going to make sure we take notes and make sure that you finish the video as well, because this is the most important video in this course up to this point. With that being said, let's dive right into it. The first step is I want you to think about the dream version of yourself. So if you want to close your eyes, that might help. But imagine the dream version, the dream player who you want to become. Imagine all the skills they have, all the qualities they have, the way they carry themselves on the field, what points the team trusts them to play on, right? Maybe you're that universe point O-line player or that universe point D-line player. Whatever it is, imagine that dream version of you and imagine those skills that they have and the qualities that they have. Now that you've got that vision, I want us to step away from dreamland for a second. We're going to come back to our present state. Okay, have a think about where we are right now. Think about the qualities and the skills that we have right now. Think about the way that we play and the confidence that we have right now on the field. The idea here is once we have a goal and once we can identify where we are right now, we can see that there's going to be some sort of gap in between. Now that gap, right, is skills, is knowledge, it's effort, it's time, right? But the idea is that there are a series of steps that can help you close the gap. And the only person that's in control of being able to close that gap is you. You're in control of how quickly or how slowly you get from A to B. You're in control of everything that has taken you to where you are right now, and you're in control of everything that could potentially take you to where you want to go in the future. So step one of how to think about Ultimate and how to approach a development is to take ownership. This is all up to you. I can give you all the tools, all the resources, and I'm going to give you everything that you need, or the accountability that you need to see results. But at the end of the day, the ownership, the amount of effort, or the amount of intent that you put behind your effort is going to come down to you. So I want you to take ownership, because everything that can take you from where you are to where you want to go is in your hands, it's in your control, and you can do it. Okay, you can definitely do this, and I'm going to help you to get there. So number one, decide that this is something that you want to take ownership over. Decide that this is something that you want to control, because you are in control. From there, we need to understand that yes, it is a step-by-step process, but Ultimate is complex. It's a complex sport. Okay, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to break down the concepts and the theories of Ultimate inside digestible chunks, so that we can understand it, so that we can actually take all these steps, this complex game, and take all these skills that we want to develop and break them down into digestible, improvable chunks inside our game. And the way we're going to do that is through our self-assessment guide. So let me click on this. I'll include the link inside the comments or the description, the text down below. And then we're going to go into our self-assessment guide, and we're going to work through this worksheet together. So once you click onto the guide, this is what you're going to see. Eric's self-assessment guide, identify the exact skills you need to work on to achieve your goals in Ultimate. Feel free to read through this, not critical, but we're just going to jump right into it together so that we can start identifying our goals and start prioritizing our goals as well. So by now you should have this document open, and make sure that you can try and complete this alongside me. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. Okay. So step one is goal clarity. We need to get really clear on what goal we're actually aiming towards, where we actually want to go. Okay. So first we need to get clear on the level you want to be at. Number one, I want you to write this and do this live while I'm here talking with you through it. What is the result and role you're aiming for? So do you want to make it onto X club, X national team, get more blocks, be a more dominant handler? I want you to write that answer inside here and document it with some level of detail. Okay, if you're not sure, include a few things, but ideally we want to have some idea of what the result and what is the role that we want to have in our dream state. From there, and if you need some time to pause the video and write that, please do so. But I'm going to continue based on the assumption that you've quickly jotted down what your goals are. Step two is we need to understand how important is it to you that you achieve this goal and why. Everyone's motivation is going to be different. Everyone's level of motivation is going to be different. And so depending on how important it is, our level of commitment, our level of effort, the things we put in are going to be different. Okay, if someone's trying to go from never playing the game before to being Team USA World Champion within a year, that level of commitment and intensity is going to be different to the person that just wants to make a high level of impact in their league team over the summer. So really identify how important it is to you and be honest with yourself, because this level of honesty is going to help us really outline what effort we can put in and what our plan is going to look like as well. Okay. Again, if you need time to pause and write it out, please do that. Step three is we need to identify how urgent is this goal for you. So if it's to make a particular team, if it's to make a bigger impact or be a starting player in a particular team, we need to identify when we want to do it by. So it is good to have some sort of time-bound nature in our approach when we are doing this exercise. Again, pause if you need to, but now we should have 3 questions answered to help us on our goals and get clear on our goals. Now comes the fun part where we're going to go into our pillar ratings. So let me walk you through my definition of Ultimate and how I like to think about Ultimate. In Ultimate Frisbee, again, it's very complex, right? We have a lot of different skills: throwing, cutting, catching, defense. Even in all these skills, there's a lot of subtopics and a lot of things to think about. So what we want to do is build a framework, build a way of thinking about the game that can help us make it more digestible so that we know exactly what to work on and help us get consistent progress in those skills. So what we want to do now is break our abilities down into 4 pillars. These are the 4 pillars of ultimate that we are always doing on the field at any one time. These are throwing, cutting, catching, and defense. At any one point in time inside an ultimate Frisbee game, we are doing one of these 4 core skills, core pillars. Okay, even if we're standing still, we're indirectly cutting because we're creating space or we're preparing to cut. So now comes the fun part. We're going to actually rate ourselves. Okay, so first of all, the important part is that this is a relative scale. So I want you to imagine your desired goal, your desired role. Okay, so if your goal is to be a starting O-line handler, that's going to be different for someone that's wanting to make a bigger impact on their league team and get more blocks. Okay, so whatever your desired role is, that's going to be your 10 out of 10. Okay, from there, we're going to give ourselves a rating in each of these categories. And you can click into here to get a description on what each of these categories are about. But I want you to give yourself a rating out of 10, with 10 being your ideal level. And I want you to include a quick blurb, a quick description of what you think is missing. Okay? So now pause the video, go through throwing, cutting, catching, defense, give yourself a rating, and include what's missing. When that's done, we're going to move on to our foundations. So these are our pillars, but the idea is underpinning those pillars, we have our foundations. And our foundations are the skills or the qualities or the physical attributions that we have that are going to help us play better ultimate. So we have 4 physical foundations and 4 non-physical foundations. Our physical ones are speed, agility, power, and conditioning. And our non-physical ones are skill, game IQ, decision-making, and mental resilience. So these are the 8 foundations, 4 in each category, that are going to help us make a bigger impact through those pillars, ultimate specific pillars on the field. Same thing now. We're going to pause the video. We're going to give ourselves a rating. If you're looking for a description on what these mean, you can click on it and see a description. And I want you to give yourself a rating, with 10 being your desired ability, right? And include what you think might be missing. Really important that we do this so that we can prioritize later down the track as well. So go ahead, pause the video, do that for me now. Lastly, this is the last part of our approach when it comes to thinking about ultimate and thinking about the way we're training, is we're going to repeat this process for our processes. So our processes are the systems, the processes that we have in place that are going to make it easier for us to train, to approach our development, and to improve in these specific areas of our game. So our processes are, we have 4 of them again. Knowledge, so how much access you have to new theories, new game IQ, the knowledge of the game, cutting patterns, block patterns, whatever it is. How much access do you have to that type of knowledge right now? Second is consistency. How consistent are you? How consistent are you when it comes to training, when it comes to planning, when it comes to approaching your development? How consistent are you when it comes to documenting your progress? So I want you to give yourself a rating there too. Feedback. How often are you able to get feedback? How often are you able to get support and get advice on the things that you're working on, or specific feedback on your form or the things that you're working on to make a bigger impact on the field? And lastly, your environment. How conducive, how effective is your environment in helping you stay accountable so that you can get the knowledge consistently, so that you can stay more consistent, so that you can get more feedback. So how much is your environment working with you to help you achieve those results? Now, pause the video. I want you to give yourself a rating out of 10, and then I want you to include what you think might be missing in your approach as well. Now that that's done, you should now have a clear understanding of how to think about ultimate, how to break this big, complex dream state into digestible chunks. And we should be able to have a clear idea of the things that we can potentially work on that are going to help us get to where we want to go. Now, that's not the end of the process. This is step 1, where we've made that assessment. in the next stage, we're going to now start to apply ourselves to be able to get those results. So we're going to take this assessment, we're going to take our findings from this section, and then we're going to learn how we can start prioritizing, how we can start tackling off each of those skills to help us get results and help us get a quick win in our game. So that's the end of section 1. Make sure you mark this section as done on the top right. And then in the next page, we're going to be going through how we can actually start applying this assessment to help you get results over the next few weeks. All right, now that we've gone through the assessment, we should have in front of us a clear understanding of the things that we need to do, everything that we need to do in order to get to the type of player that we want to become. Now, that's not it, right? Just because we have all the things listed out to work on doesn't mean that we can just work on all of them and be able to see results straight away. We need to have some sort of plan. We need some sort of system that's going to help us tackle these off in a way that makes sense. So in this video, we're going to go through how we can actually help you apply yourself so that we can see our results in these areas of our game over time. Now, before we jump into it, make sure you watch this video at 1.5 times speed. Also, make sure you turn on the captions to make it easier for you to take in that content. Number 2, make sure that you take notes along the way to consolidate your understanding. And number 3, make sure you finish the video because up to this point, this is the most important video in the course. So before we jump into it, I want to bring your attention to this diagram. Here we've got 2 balls, 2 types of people, right? At the very top, we have success, which is our goal. And you can see on the left here, the first person, we have someone that diverts their energy outwards into many different directions, right? And what happens here? When your energy is diverted, you get little stumps of improvement here and there in little topics along the way, right? What we want to do instead is be the person on the right who has our energy diverted in one area, one focus area at a time. And what does that allow that person to do? Well, it lets them build focus in that area and prioritize a particular area in their game so that they can stack improvements and get success in that specific one area of their game. And what that allows us to do is over time, we can stack more of these vertical levels of growth inside different aspects of our game. So instead of just working on everything at once and having nothing improve really at all, we're working on one thing at a time so that we can improve on one thing, get it right, tick it off, and then move on. Improve on the next thing, get it right, tick it off, and then move on. That is the process of focus and prioritization that's effectively going to help us get results quickly. So once we have that context in mind, I want to walk you through my apply framework. How are we actually going to apply these skills in our training, in our development, so that we can start seeing a high impact in the game. So what does apply actually stand for? Apply is an acronym and it stands for assess, prioritize, plan, leverage, and yield. Okay, yield results. So we've already done the assessment. We already know in front of us what we need to be doing, what we need to be working on, right? Now we're going to move into the prioritize stage. Once we can see in front of us what the things that we need to work on are, we then need to rank them in priority. We need to figure out, okay, if there's one thing, only one thing that I could work on, what would it be? Because if we work on everything at once, we're not going to improve in anything at all. So we need to pick that one thing and we need to stick to it in a short period of time, okay, or for some period of time. So in a second, we're going to go through that prioritize phase together. And we're also going to get started on how we can actually start planning around these particular focus areas in our game to improve in these prioritized areas where we want to improve over the next few weeks. As part of the apply process, the apply framework, we're also going to go into leverage, which is how we can help you get results faster through high leverage activities, high leverage skills. We're going to go through that in the next video. And of course, the result of being able to apply your skills, being able to apply, is to yield the results at the very end. So yield is the output that we get at the end of it, if we're able to do this framework correctly. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to go back into that self-assessment guide. At the bottom of that worksheet, we've got 2 sections where we're going to go through prioritization and we're going to go through a snippet into how we can start planning around improving in these prioritized areas. So going back into the self-assessment guide, if we go all the way past our process ratings, you'll get to a point where it says prioritized. So now you have a list in front of you with a number of things to improve on. The last step is to get clear on what to start working on first and how you're going to get started. Do not attempt to focus on everything at once. See diagram for reference. We've talked about it. Cool. So what we want to do is identify the categories with the lowest scores from each section. So we're going to come back into our results up here, and we can see that the lowest result that you've got for each section is the area that requires the biggest amount of development, right? It's the area that we need to work on the most to get us closer to our 10 out of 10 rating. Now, if you have similar results, if throwing and cutting is both the lowest, right, and it's the same number, just pick one of them. Pick one which you want to work on, or pick the one that you feel like is going to make the biggest impact. But what we want to do right now is, instead of working on everything at once, we want to pick one that can be our focus pillar, that can be our focus skill, our focus foundations. So we're going to pick one from each of these, okay? So go ahead, we're going to pick out our priority pillar. We're going to pick out one priority foundation. So choose your favorite out of the non-physical or physical foundations. And we're going to pick one priority process as well. So figure out which part of our process do we want to improve on as well. Okay. Now that we have that in mind, I want us to keep that at the forefront of our development. But we're going to now start getting into more tactical ways on how we can actually start planning around this. Okay. So let's start prioritizing. The question that I want you to answer here, we've got 3 questions in front of us. Number 1, what is the one thing you want to improve in your game in the next 14 days? So if there's only one thing that you could get right in your game in the next 14 days, right, short period of time, what would it be? This is going to be our short-term focus. This is going to be our area in your game where we're going to help you get a quick win. Okay? Now, we can include this from an ultimate specific perspective. If you want to get more blocks, if you want to get more confident throwing hucks, whatever it is, include that. If you want to include a few extra notes on your foundations, if it's speed, if it's conditioning, or if it's your process, building an environment, we can also include notes on that in the next 14 days. Depends, again, on what your goal is and how committed you are, but we can include some of those dot points in this response. Okay? Now, moving forward, very briefly, make a note of something that you want to improve in the next 14 weeks and something that you want to improve in this next 14 months. So we have our short-term goal in mind, but we also want to keep a vision on some of the long-term skills that we want to build as well. The idea is we're going to have some sort of short-term goal. It might be a very narrow thing that we're going to get right in the next 14 days, but we still want to keep an eye on the things that we want to improve on over the next 14 weeks, over the next 14 months. So if there's things that you want to achieve in the long term that are beyond that simple thing that you want to get right in the next 14 days, we want to make a note of it so that we can start building towards it over the following weeks as well. Okay? If you need some time to pause the video, write down your results, do that now. Once that's done, we're going to go into part 6 of this self-assessment guide, which is our plan. So this is all in relation to getting really down into the nitty-gritty, into the tactical steps on how we can actually help you plan to improve in these priority areas, priority pillars, foundations, or processes in your game. And this is the approach that I want us to be able to do, okay? So we're going to take the one thing you want to improve in your game in the next 14 days, okay? So this might be get more confident playing defense on the open side. This might be get more confident throwing around breaks. Whatever it is, pick that one narrow thing. Then we're going to use what I call the skill development cycle to create a 15-minute plan. Super simple. This is how I want us to approach our development when we're first starting. Okay. Number 1, we want to isolate the movement for 5 minutes. So if we are doing some sort of footwork or some sort of cutting, we want to isolate exactly what that movement looks like. We want to get confident walking through it and being able to do that movement confidently, isolated. Step 2, then we want to add some sort of speed or complexity. Okay, so maybe if we're doing cutting, we want to start making that cut a little bit faster. We want to start imagining and visualizing that we're doing it in a game scenario, and we want to add that complexity a little bit faster. Maybe we want to take 2 steps instead of 1 step, or 2 changes of direction instead of 1, right? And then step 3 is we want to be able to apply in a game realistic scenario. So step 3 is then going ahead, taking our isolated movement, taking our speed and complexity that we've added to it, and adding game realistic cues or visualizing it in a game realistic way so that we're practicing the movement as if we're doing it in a game. Okay, so this might be setting up for the cut, visualizing the disc swinging, getting out on stage, more about that later, and then making that cut initially, right? And then changing direction. So you can see all of a sudden you've gone from an isolated movement to then applying it in a game realistic scenario within 15 minutes. Okay. This is the skill development cycle, the approach of developing our skills that's going to help us prioritize, and it's going to help us plan around these specific individual isolated skills and help us build these skills over time. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to use this. I'd like you to create an example. So based on your results from the one thing that you want to improve on in the next 14 days, I'd like you to write out here, isolate the movement, add the speed and complexity, apply in a realistic game scenario. I just want you to include a few dot points underneath each section on how you're going to work on that skill over the next 14 days. Okay. At the end, we should have a 15-minute session that's going to help us work on that specific skill, that isolated skill that we're going to be working on. Okay, we will use this as a skill injection. More on this in a later section, but the idea there is that's going to help us create these micro skill injections that we can throw in during the week that are going to be focused towards that specific focused priority area during the game. Pause the video now if you need a bit of time to document a few dot points to see how we're going to isolate that movement, add that speed and complexity, and apply it in a game realistic scenario. I've got an example down below as well if you want to borrow that. But this is going to be a brief introduction on how we can start planning around these specific focus pillars and applying them inside our game. We're going to go into these sorts of tactics and these sorts of planning abilities and skills later on in the module. So don't worry if it's not fully fleshed out or if you don't feel confident doing it yet. We're going to be going into more detail about that later on in the module when we talk about planning sessions, when we talk about building out your high leverage plan as well. With that being said, that concludes this section of the lesson. Now that you've gone through the assessment, now that you've prioritized, now that you've done some sort of planning in terms of how we're actually going to work on those prioritized and focused skills, the next thing is we're going to go into how we can actually help you get more leverage, that's more output for the same level of effort inside your training. So with all that being done, go ahead and mark this section as done, and I will see you in the next section where we're going to talk about how to fast track your progress. All right, now that you've assessed the current level that you're at, you've prioritized your abilities, you've prioritized the specific pillars and the foundations to work on, and you've got a taste of how to plan when it comes to working on those specific skills in the next 14 days. Now we get up to the point where we're really talking about fast tracking our progress and how we can take all that information and now start applying that in our development to get results faster. So really exciting. Before we jump into it, as always, watch this video on 1.5 times speed. I'd like you to turn on the captions as well so it's easier and quicker to consume that content. Make sure you take notes along the way and make sure to finish the video because this is the most important video in this course up to this point. So how can we fast track our progress when it comes to development in Ultimate? There are 2 main levers that we can pull when it comes to getting faster results, and these are shown through my results equation. What is my results equation? Well, it's R equals V times L. What do they stand for? Results equals volume, that is how much we do, multiplied by leverage, that is how much we get out of each unit of doing. So you can think about it like this. We're thinking about doing more multiplied by doing better. How much can we do? Can we simply do more of it? Or can we also increase the efficacy, increase the impact of the doing itself, make it more worthwhile? So these are the 2 levers that we can pull, and being able to increase our volume and increase our leverage are the 2 levers that are ultimately going to help us get results faster. So with that being said, what is actually the right amount of volume? Well, ultimately, and let me just scroll down, it depends on our goal. It depends on a number of factors. It depends on our current state. It depends on how much time we have. It depends on where you are in that journey and how much you want it, right? And so the amount of volume that is right for you is going to differ depending on where you are in that journey and how much of a rush you are in to get to where you want to go. Now, take the example of someone that wants to make Team USA in 6 months and has never played Frisbee before. The amount of volume that they have to do is going to be very different to the person that has been playing for 2 to 3 years, already at an elite level, and just needs to maintain to make it through to the next club season. So it's going to be a very different approach. The idea here is also that some people are already at a level where they just need to maintain. So there's different phases in your playing career, right? Think about it like the bodybuilder, right? The bodybuilder that you have in front of you. You can see the image there. These bodybuilders spend years and years putting reps every single day, every single week in order to build their body up to this certain point. And then they get to a point where they don't need to train every day to maintain their physique, right? Ultimate is exactly the same. Any skill development, exactly the same. You're always going to have to put in the work up front when you're first starting, when you're first getting to a certain point. Once you've built all the skills, once you've built a ability, a base level of foundation, and you're able to hang with the top players, then you can just maintain, right? You can train once every few days, once a week, and chances are you're not going to forget how to be a good player. But we want to note that starting off, everyone's going to go through a phase of development in order to get to that point, right? You don't just wake up and you end up being jacked and you're super strong. You only need to train once a week to maintain that physique. You do need to put in the effort early on in your career to build out that base, build out those foundations, and get that volume in to build out that skill base. So for those wanting to develop, wanting to get to that point, wanting to improve their ability to get to that point where they're able to hang with the best, volume is king. Volume is one of the biggest things that you guys can do when it comes to improving your impact on the field in a shorter amount of time. Now, not everyone has that liberty, right? Ultimate varies in priority in people's lives. I'm sure there are other things in life that you care about that aren't just ultimate. So it's difficult sometimes to be able to put as much volume as we want into the sport when we have other things happening, when we have other priorities, when we're busy, right? Truth is we are busy and there's other things going on. So if that is the case, if you are time poor, the next section on skill injections is going to be really critical for you. That's a tactical way that we can introduce a little bit more volume, introduce effective training in a way that doesn't interrupt everything else that's going on in our weeks. Okay. But to keep in mind, really important to keep in mind that if you are wanting to take a serious stab at getting to an elite level, volume is going to be an important factor in that. Now, if we're just wanting to improve, if we're just wanting to make a bigger impact on the field, if we can't necessarily increase our volume as much as we want, then that's when we go to the other side of the equation, right? That's when we think about how we can increase our leverage instead. Now, before we jump into that, what are some tactical ways that we can increase our volume? Number one, decide. Firstly, decide whether it's actually something you want to do, right? Whether it's something you want to prioritize. Think about where you want to be in Ultimate. Think about what you need to do to get there. And think about if those are within your goals, right? If you want to increase your volume, then decide that this is something that you want to prioritize, something you want to spend more time doing. Okay, it's not going to be for everyone, but if it is for you, and if you want to see these results faster, then decide that you're prepared to pay the price. Okay? Few tactical things that you guys can do to find more time during the week without necessarily having to sacrifice everything else that's going on. Number one, time block. Do your tasks together, right? If you have a day of chores that you need to do in the home, do them all in one block, right? If you need to do study, if you need to work, do them all in one block. If you need to train, do that in one block. If you can time block these activities together, it means that you're going to be more efficient, and it means that you're going to have more time after to be able to focus on other things. Okay, that's just broadly when it comes to productivity in life, separate to ultimate. Number 2, wake up earlier, right? Chances are, if you're staying up late between the hours of 6 p.m. and 10 p.m., or maybe even later, you're probably not doing much, right? You're probably not doing that much that's actually going to be productive. You're probably definitely not doing something active or doing throwing or going out on the field to do a workout. So the idea is, if you can go to sleep earlier, it means that you can wake up earlier. Those hours in the morning tend to be super, super productive, right? This doesn't mean that you need to go out early, 6 a.m. and do a workout, but it might mean that you can get your work done earlier in the day, right? It might open up an extra hour or two during the afternoon because you've been more productive, allowing you to open up more time in your week without necessarily having to sacrifice other priorities in your life. Number 3, reduce your screen time. There's a handy feature on your phone. Go to the settings, check your screen time. Odds are you're probably spending a few hours every day on your phone. That's just the truth of it. If we can even take away 15, 30, 45 minutes every single day from our screen time on our phone, think about the productivity that it could enable. Think about the time spent that we could commit, not only to training, not only to ultimate, but to other things in life as well. So think about that screen time. Think about ways that we can reduce our screen time, keep our phone away, or add natural blockers or whatever there is these days to block certain apps, so that we can open up more time in our weeks for other priorities, but also for ultimate. And lastly, build a high leverage training plan. Idea is, we can simply increase our volume if we have some sort of plan that we want to stick to. Right. We're going to talk about how to build a high leverage training plan in the last section of this course. So stick around for that. That's going to be very exciting. The idea here is, you don't always have to increase your volume, right? It really depends on your particular goal and where you want to go. But if you do decide that you want to increase your volume, these are important things to consider to open up a few extra hours every single day. And the idea is, if you want to get better, and odds are like it's probably not going to end your life if you don't use your phone or if you wake up a few hours earlier, right? These are actionable ways that aren't going to sacrifice important parts and important priorities in the rest of your life in order to improve an ultimate. So if this is a priority for you, there are clever ways, tactical ways that we can find more time in the day to do the things that are important to you. And that's why you're here, right? To improve. That is volume done, dusted, covered. Sweet. Now, for those that cannot increase their volume in any way, maybe they're super busy, they're flat out, balls against the wall, nothing that we can do, then that's when we want to think about leverage, right? Even if you don't want to spend more time investing in the volume side of things, leverage is a simple way that we can increase our results, increase our output, without having to increase the amount of effort or increase the amount of time that we're putting in. All we need to do is be more intentional with the way that we are training, so that we're getting more out of the time that we are putting in. So let me walk you through my 5-6 ways of increasing our leverage when it comes to training in ultimate. So number 1, volume. Funnily enough, think about it like when you first go to the gym. Before you've ever gone to the gym, you have no idea how to do the weights, right? You're mumbling around, you're going around the gym, you don't really know where weights are. It takes a lot of time, right? And so the idea is, the first thing that you can do to help you increase your leverage in your training is start by increasing your volume. So if you're able to go to the gym when you first start, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, high volume when you first start, it helps you quickly learn where things are. It helps you quickly learn how to actually do the movements and how to train, right? Ultimate Frisbee training specific for ultimate is exactly the same thing, right? If you've never gone to the field and thrown by yourself before, having a little bit of extra volume at the very start is going to help you make that more effective as the weeks go by. So highly recommend, and we're going to have some sort of activity at the end of this course as well. Highly recommend increasing your volume, especially when you're first starting, to get used to going out to a field, getting used to getting in those extra skill injections, extra sessions, where it makes sense to. So simply increasing your volume at the very beginning is going to help you make it more worthwhile, especially as the weeks go by, because you're going to get more confident in the movement pattern. You're going to get more confident in training your footwork, training your throws, and getting used to that habit. So number one, how can I increase my leverage? Number one, volume. Number two, guidance. Idea here is, doesn't matter if you train as much as you want. If you're training the wrong things, or if you're training things in the wrong way, then it's not going to help, right? It's going to, in fact, it's going to help you go backwards, right? So we want the right guidance when it comes to our training. We want to make sure that we're training the right things. That's when the focus and the prioritization comes in from the previous page, because we want to know exactly what the right things are to focus on in order to be training the right things and in the right way. That's one way that you can use the community as well, right? So if you have specific questions, if you have anything that's bothering you, you can get the right guidance from myself, but also from other community experts and other community members inside the group. Then we have focus and feedback. If we can stay focused in one particular activity and improve in that one particular thing, that's also going to make training more worthwhile compared to focusing on 100 different things. Also, if we're able to get feedback on the specific activities, that also helps us improve the movement pattern, improve our form, make sure that we're doing things the right way, so that when we are training, we're doing it the right way and we're improving it in the right ways as well. Next one is standard. The idea behind standard is that we want to be holding ourselves to a high standard, even if we're at a casual pickup or even if we're at a casual game, right? We want to make sure that we are holding ourselves to a high standard in terms of executing these skills. If we can make use of those sessions and be implementing the specific skills that we're working on and thinking about outside of training, right? That way we can get more focused reps and hold ourselves to a higher standard when executing those skills. And ultimately, it's going to be a better use of our time to be using those sessions, holding ourselves to a higher standard when we are there playing. And the last one, which is arguably the most important, is accountability. The idea here is if we can stay accountable towards the things that we're working on, if we can document exactly what it is we're working on week by week and what we're thinking about, it keeps our focus areas top of mind for us. When we're able to keep things top of mind, it means that there's more energy focused towards that particular area. We're thinking about it more. We're more intentional with our behavior when it comes to that particular topic. So ultimately, it puts more attention in that specific area of our game, which means that we can help improve that area of our game faster. Now, if you struggle with remembering each of these ways to increase your leverage, there is a clever mnemonic that you guys can use. The mnemonic is very good friends, stay accountable. So each letter of that mnemonic represents one of the ways that you guys can increase your leverage out there on the field. So that's volume, that's leverage, that's our results equation. And that is the end of this particular section when it comes to how to train for results for Ultimate. What we're going to do now is there's going to be a section, there's going to be a quiz and a worksheet underneath to just consolidate your understanding when it comes to the last 3 videos that you've watched inside this section. Make sure you complete it. It should only take about 5 minutes to consolidate your understanding when it comes to this first section. And once that's done, you guys can move on to the next section, which is all about building winning habits in your game. All right, welcome to the winning habits section of your How to Train for Results course inside Ultimate Academy. This section is all about building winning habits. It's all about improving our approach and optimizing our environment so that we can actually improve in Ultimate as fast as possible in the most proven way. The first one is going to be about skill injections, which is a tactic that we can use to get some high impact, high leverage volume throughout our week. Now, before we jump right into it, first make sure that you watch the video at 1.5 times speed so that you can get in the valley a little bit faster, and make sure you turn on the captions. Second, make sure you take notes. And lastly, make sure you finish the video because this is the most important part of the course up to this point. Sweet. So what are skill injections? Firstly, this particular technique is the highest leverage way to add more volume throughout your training week, throughout your training plan. What does that mean? It's the most effective way, it's the most time efficient way that we can add more volume in our training when it comes to Ultimate. Now, it's based on the principle that we want to go through a development cycle. We want to be improving in a way where we're developing a certain skill. We want to then be applying it in a game scenario, and then we want to consolidate it. And so it's that idea of getting that repetition where you're developing a skill, applying it, and consolidating it. And skill injections is one way that we can do that inside our Ultimate Frisbee training approach. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how that looks like and how we can apply that in your training week. Firstly, in detail, what are skill injections? They are short 10 to 20 minute blocks of training, of focused effort that we're completing before, after training. Okay. These are focused work on one specific skill area. So the idea is we have some sort of focus that we're working on week by week. This might change as we progress during the weeks, but the idea is these skill injections are focused on one specific skill area so that we can inject a skill, we can develop a certain skill before a session and consolidate it after a session. These are high leverage volume without needing extra sessions. So we're able to tag these on top of our existing sessions that we're doing for Ultimate, whether that's pickup, whether that's league, whether that's club training, and we're not having to add an extra session during the week, right? So this is one way that we can get high leverage volume without having to add extra sessions that's going to take up time out of our days. And ultimately, this is going to help us take advantage of the time where we're already at a field. So let me walk you through exactly kind of what that's going to look like. So we have an Ultimate Frisbee week. We got kind of Monday to Sunday documented out here. And you're going to have some sessions during the week where you're going to be at a field, right? This might be some sort of gameplay, some sort of training, okay? So this is kind of what it's going to look like. You might have some trainings on Monday, Wednesday, and you might have a pickup on a Sunday, right? So these red squares are supposed to represent some sort of training, some sort of gameplay. Now, what we want to do is, instead of having to completely block out an entire new day to doing some sort of session, the idea of skill injections is all we need to do is get in these little focused injections before and or after, right? Before and or after, before and or after. And it's through this cycle, through this approach, that we're able to warm up a particular skill, apply that particular skill, because now that's front of mind. Now we're actually warmed up those movement patterns and we're ready to apply it, and consolidate it, right? Warm up, apply, and consolidate. Warm up and apply and consolidate. So you can see how very quickly, if we have one particular focus when we are warming up, applying, and consolidating as we go through day by day, week by week, very quickly, that's how we can acquire new skills, right? Instead of taking a year, instead of taking 6 months to apply a certain skill, because we're able to go through this rapid iteration process, instead of taking 6 months, it's going to take us 6 weeks. Instead of taking 6 weeks, it's going to take us 6 days, because we are focused in these sessions, and these are high leverage sessions that we can use to warm up, then we can apply it in our gameplay, and then we can consolidate it after. So that's a kind of a demo of what that's going to look like inside your week. And in a second, and in the next section, we're going to talk about how we can actually build out your high leverage plan to incorporate skill injections just like these. Cool. So going into more detail, skill injections can change depending on your focus for the week. Usually we want to start with a short body warm up, and then these skill injections will either incorporate specific throws or catches, specific offensive footwork, specific defensive footwork, or some combination. So really, it's all comes down to what your focus is for that particular week. Now, if you need help figuring out exactly what activities to do during those skill injections, we can rely on the processes that we've learned before in terms of building plans around those 15-minute sessions. Or you can go into our activities library and our activity bank inside the classroom of the group, where we have activities that you guys can actually borrow and use for your own benefit. Okay, so these are skill injections that I personally do and other members inside the group will do as well. We want to start by focusing only on one or two things when it comes to these skill injections. Okay, the idea is focus and priority when it comes to applying new skills and developing new skills is going to help us skyrocket that particular area. And if we can focus on one particular skill injection, one particular skill, day by day, week by week, it means that we can get that right. We can warm it up, apply it, we can consolidate it. And then that means we're able to move on to the next thing faster because we're able to tick that off and then move on. So as we move on, that's where we want to add progressions and variations. So we're not going to just do the same skill injections every single session, every single week. The idea is as we get more confident, as we get better, we can add progressions in our movement and we can add variations into new things that we want to be developing. If you are not sure how to plan a solo workout session, so separate to these skill injections, if we have time where we're trying to get out to the field by ourselves, we're trying to get in these sessions by ourselves, I'm sure you've been in a position where you rock up to a field, you're like, oh, I'm not exactly sure where to work out. So this is one systematic way that we can make these sessions more productive and plan these sessions out in an easier way. Effectively, what we're going to do whenever we're going out for a solo session, or whenever we're going out for a solo workout at the field, at the park, whatever it is, we'll start with some sort of short body warm-up. And a simple way to organize how these sessions will look is by grouping 2 to 3 skill injections together. So if we are able to plan 2 or 3 effective, short, 10 to 20 minute sessions focused on a number of different skills, that allows us to quickly and easily build out a solo workout session without having to plan excessively, without having to overthink it. Okay. And so whenever we are creating these skill injections, whenever you are getting access to these activities that you can get inside the classroom as well, it's good to keep a mental note of them, so that whenever you are wanting to do these skill injections, or whenever you are wanting to do these solo sessions as well, that you can just draw on them and quickly compile a quick 30-minute, 45-minute workout, depending on how long you want to spend in those solo sessions. So not only are skill injections a good way of getting high leverage volume throughout the week without having to add extra sessions, if you do want to get an additional session in, they're a really easy way to be able to plan these sessions and plan them so that it fits and so that it's efficient, and so that ultimately it's also high leverage when you do decide to go out additionally. Lastly, if you need help planning when it comes to approaching your week, when it comes to getting in these specific activities, you don't need to do it alone, right? This is why you have the resource of the community. This is why you have the resources that we have inside. We actually have specific guidance inside the group when it comes to getting support planning. So if you need help planning, number one, ask a question inside the discussion group. Let me quickly give you a demo of what that looks like. So if you need specific help planning, go to the general section and ask a question, right? Title your post with the question that you need help with. If you need a specific skill injection on a particular topic and you're not sure what to do, make that post about it. I'll get around to it. But more importantly, other community members that are experts and that have done activities just like this will forward you and point you in the right direction. Now, another way that you guys can get that support and get that access to those activities is by going to the classroom. Inside the classroom, we've got an activity bank, an activities library that you guys can go to and click to get access to a number of different activities that you guys can draw on for these skill injections, but also for these solo sessions if you want to add those on. Lastly, we have our calendar. So if you have tried the discussion posts, if you have tried the activities, but you just still want a bit of extra support when it comes to that planning, we run regular planning sessions once every few weeks inside the community. So if you need help with specific planning, jump into these planning sessions where we can actually help you directly with not only your approach when it comes to Ultimate, but also what those activities will look like in your particular scenario that are going to help you break through whatever roadblocks you're facing. So if you need direct support, those are a few tools that you guys can use inside the Ultimate Academy to help you get that support and to help you plan around how to actually get results in your game. That's it for this lesson on skill injections. Again, this is really the crux, the key foundation when it comes to getting more efficient training in. So really have a think about how you guys can start implementing skill injections and what things you might be working on over the next 2 weeks. There's going to be some resources, some worksheets and things to complete at the end of this section to help you get used to that process of developing skill injections for yourself, but also using the value inside the group as well. That's all for this particular section, for this particular page. Go ahead and mark this section as done, and then click onto the next page where we go into how we can help you measure your development, measure your improvement, so that we can help you achieve success. See you on the next page. All right, in this next section of the winning habits section inside our How to Train for Results course, we're going to be going through one of the mantras that we heavily lean on and heavily believe in inside Ultimate Academy to help our athletes get results. And that is the mantra, what gets measured gets improved. Now, before we jump into a bit of a story, firstly, I'll ask you to watch this on 1.5 times speed so you can get in the value a little bit faster. Make sure you turn on the captions, make sure you take notes, and lastly, make sure you finish the video because this is the most important video in the course up to this point. Now, I'd like to tell you a bit of a story about a friend of mine, a colleague who is a basketball coach. and he trained with his daughter over the summer. And so what he did over the summer was he'd ask his daughter, they're training in the garage in their home gym, he'd ask her to do 10 push-ups every day. Super simple. So at the beginning of every session, she'd wake up, brush her teeth, they'd go down to the garage, get ready for training, and she would do their 10 push-ups. Perfect. So it went on like that for a few days, a few weeks, and she was doing great. And then one day, my colleague, friend, coach, he found a whiteboard. He found a whiteboard in his garage, and he decided to put it up. And when he did put it up, what he did the following day was same process. Daughter woke up, brushed her teeth, got ready for training, came down to the garage, did her 10 push-ups. And all he did was take his marker, right, a marker that I've got here as well, and he wrote on the whiteboard the number 10. Okay? Super simple. Didn't change anything, didn't change how they did training, didn't talk to his daughter about expectations, nothing like that. All he did was go onto the whiteboard and wrote down the number 10. So the daughter finished her workout, whatever. Next day, same process. Wake up, brush teeth, got ready for training, and come to the time of his daughter doing the push-ups. Can you guess how many push-ups she did? Well, you're probably guessing 11. Well, she actually did 12 because she wanted to exceed expectations. But the idea is she did more than she had to, right? He didn't ask her. He didn't ask her to try harder or train harder or work harder. What did he do? All he did was measure her progress, right? Measure her improvement. And so the principle behind this is we can change nothing else. We don't need to change anything when it comes to the way we train, how much we train, how we train. If you can simply measure how you progress and measure the things that you're actually doing, measure the things that you are actually learning, measurement itself equals improvement. Again, the mantra that we believe in is what gets measured gets improved. And so in this community, in the group, we're really going to try and empower you to measure your progress so that not only can we help you improve just through the purpose of measuring it, we can also give you all the support, all the resources that you need as well along the way. Okay, so you don't only get improvement, but you get improvement squared because you get not only the measurement side of things, but also the skills, the support, the knowledge off the back of it. In a second, we're going to go through live examples of how you can actually do that and how our athletes are actually doing that so that you guys know how to approach measurement and how to approach development inside the group. Before we jump into that, I also want to walk you through a study. Now, you guys can search the study up. I'll reference it down in the description below so that you guys can actually see that it's from a reputable source. But there was a study that tested effectively how likely people are able to achieve results. And they changed a few factors. And some of the factors they changed were things related to setting goals, documentation, and doing check-ins. What they found was if you set a goal, right? If you set a goal and wrote it down and put a time frame on it, that increased your chance of success by something like 1.2 times. So 20%, which is already really good. But what they found was for their cohort, for their group that set the goal, documented it, and checked in with someone once every single week about that specific goal, without changing anything in their particular approach, without changing anything in their environment, anything like that. All they did was have someone check in with them once a week and remind them of their goal. It led them to increase their chance of success, their chance of achieving that outcome by 1.9 times, by about 90%. So change nothing else. And accountability, this way of measuring our success week by week with another accountability partner, increases our chance of success by 90%, close to 2 times, right? So if we are ultimate athletes here wanting to take our game to another level, and we're thinking about, okay, game IQ, we're thinking about training, we're thinking about doing all this and doing all this additional stuff, we can simply increase our chance of getting success by adding that layer of measurement, by adding that accountability without having to change anything else. So in my opinion, it'd be silly not to. It'd be silly not to do these things if we know that the studies have shown that these are going to help us get results. So here we are, ready to empower you to be able to do that, give you all the tools, give you the community, give you the resources to do that. So how can we actually measure our success? Inside the group, we have our gains section inside our community forum. Okay. And inside the gains section, I'll walk you through what that looks like in a second. Inside the gains section, that's where our athletes will regularly post session updates and training updates. So this is where our athletes are measuring their success and measuring their progress. Again, don't have to change anything in your approach. All you need to do is measure what it is you're doing and how you're approaching it. Okay. So inside the community section, here is the gains gallery, the gains section. And you can see that we have dozens and dozens of posts of athletes doing sessions and documenting exactly what it is they're working on. Okay. And so this doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be a complex post. All you need to do is document what it is that you did and measure how you are progressing. All right. Now, a simple format that I'd like you guys to follow that makes it super easy to just get these posts up and be able to measure your progress is the 3-step process of good, improve, and action. Okay, what does that mean? When you're making these posts, it doesn't have to be super lengthy. It can go into as much detail as you like, depending on how much you're open to share and how much you want to document, but it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to take long. It should take only about 2-3 minutes to get up a good value posting. Okay, so first, try and take a picture if you can, just helps with engagement, but we want to include the 3 topics: what's good, what can you improve, and what's the action. Okay, what does that mean? So firstly, what's good? What did you do well in the session? Okay, what are you happy about? Number 2, improve. What do you want to improve on? What were you less satisfied about? What could have gone better inside the session? And number 3, an action. Okay, tied to that specific improvement area, what about the thing that you weren't happy about or the thing you weren't satisfied about? What is the action that you're going to tag onto the back of that that's actually going to help you improve in that improvement area? Okay, so the idea is something good, something that you want to improve on, and something actionable that you can do that you're going to stick to and stay accountable to improve in that improvement area. Cool. So let me give you a few examples of what that looks like. Here's a good post from Jason. Super easy format. What we did well, what you want to improve, and how you work on improving it. You can see here, 7 likes, 6 comments, really engaged members. Also, you get that amount of motivation and support from the members cheering you on. So it's great to have that. Here's a little bit more of an in-depth scenario. This is one of my training recaps. What I did well, what I can improve on, and how I'm going to work on it. Okay. So super simple format. Doesn't have to take long. It can take longer if you want to document in more detail, and you can see some examples from the gain section yourself. But really, most importantly, tag a photo. That's always nice. But a few dot points on what you did well, what you can improve on, and how to work on it. Again, this is really going to supercharge our development when it comes to this principle of what gets measured gets improved. Okay, and we're here to support you in doing that. Lastly, how can you stay accountable? So number 1, gains. Okay, gains is going to help you get used to measuring your success. That's already going to help us give that motivation, another layer of accountability when it comes to attending those sessions and getting in that effort. Okay, getting in that intentional effort when it comes to training. Doesn't always mean having to do dozens and dozens of sessions every single week, but it does mean that when you are at training, when you are getting in these skill injections, that there's some intentionality behind it. Okay, there's some focus behind it. Next, we have fortnightly check-ins. So in the community, we have check-ins just like this that you'll see. Super simple. What are your goals for the week? Okay, so all I ask is when you do see one of these posts pop up on the pinned post, pop up in your feed, make sure you just drop a comment. Okay, let us know what exactly your goals are for that week and for that upcoming fortnight. Okay, that way I can track exactly what it is you're working on, and if you need any support, any guidance, you can let us know as well. Okay, again, format super simple. What's your goal? How are you going to work on it? How can you use the support of the group to help you get there? Okay, accountability, support calls, GM feedback, whatever it is. That way I can keep tabs on yourself as an athlete. And if you need any support, if I read through your plan and it sounds to me like I can help you progress faster in that approach, then I'll throw that support in a reply to you as well. Okay. From there, we also have our accountability check-ins, which is an integral part of the way that we support you guys in staying accountable inside the group. We talked about a study saying that if you checked in with someone once a week about a goal, that's going to increase your chance by close to 2 times. So we actually support you in being able to find people that can help you stay accountable towards those goals. So once every single month, we put out a post like this, an accountability check-in. We put in a vote to register. So you can vote, and you can see we had 18 athletes register this time around. How this effectively works is it's a short one-on-one check-in with a member from the community. Okay, we'll pair you guys up. We give you a worksheet to work through, and it helps you outline your goals in detail and see how you can use another person, use another member of the community to help you stay accountable towards that goal. Now, based on the back of this, some people have continued to do accountability check-ins week by week. One of the questions inside the worksheet is how can you guys support each other as the weeks go by to stay accountable? And so some people decide to put in regular week by week check-ins. Our most kind of passionate members who are wanting to get a quick result and wanting to get results in a more proven way and faster, decide to put in these one-on-one check-ins regularly as well. And that might be through DMs, but it might be through regular calls as well. So that's always an option. You guys can decide that within your calls. But the idea is when we do have these monthly accountability check-in posts, please make sure that you do vote to register, because this is an easy way that you can get to stay accountable towards your goals, check in so that you can increase your chance of success by close to 2 times, but also you can meet other people around the Ultimate community around the world, and maybe you'll make a friend. Cool. That's our accountability check-ins. Last 2 methods that you guys can use to help you stay accountable. Okay. Second last one, coffee catch-ups and other calls. So we've got calls inside the calendar. You can see we actually got one as I'm recording this in about 57 minutes. But come along to some of these calls, okay? You don't have to come along to every single call. Again, use this group like a bit of a toolkit, like a bit of a utility belt. Use what you need. But if you guys are coming along to some of those calls at least once a week or every few weeks, right, it means that we can stay accountable. It means that I can check in with you and see if there's any personal things that I can help you along with on the way, okay? So another way to stay accountable, if you don't want to go through those accountability check-ins, or if you just want additional support, come along to these calls at least once a week or at least once every few weeks. Okay, that way that I can actually keep tabs, we can chat in person, and if there's anything that I feel that I can help you with, I can point you in the right direction straight away or help you live on those calls as well. Lastly, super simple, DM me. If you need specific advice, even if you just want to check in or you just want to stay accountable towards a certain goal, just send me a message. It helps so much to just document it and write down exactly what it is that you want to work on and how you're going to get there, right? And I, as your coach, am going to help you stay accountable towards that. So I have a lot of ongoing messages, ongoing conversations with members inside the group who need that support and who want that support to help them get to that next level. And I also offer my perspective, my opinion, my advice in those conversations as well. That is the end of our What Gets Measured Gets Improved section. I want you guys to really ingrain that mantra in your brain, right? Every time that we're measuring something, every time that we're documenting something down, we're writing something in our notebook or scribbling some notes on a Google Doc, that's one way that we can directly impact the way that we're going to get results inside the game. Super exciting, great section. Remember that mantra, write it down. What gets measured gets improved. And I'm super excited to read your next Gains Gallery post. Perfect. That's the end of this page. Go ahead and mark this page as done. And I'll see you in the next section where we'll summarize the things we've learned about winning habits and see how we can help you create a winning environment in your approach to Ultimate. See you in the next page. All right, in the last section of this winning habits section of the course, we're going to be going through curating a winning environment. Now, before we jump into that, make sure you watch this video on 1.5 times speed. Make sure you turn on the captions so it's easier to digest. Make sure you take notes and make sure you finish the entire video because it is the most important video up to this point. So, quick recap of where we've got to up to this point. Remember that we want to apply ourselves to get results. This is the cycle of development that we want to apply to be able to get results consistently and quickly when it comes to developing an Ultimate. We want to assess where we are. We want to plan our progress. We want to prioritize exactly what it is that we need to work on. We want to build leverage in the way that we're training. And then we want to yield our results because we've done all the right things. And so it's that cycle of development going from assess, plan, prioritize, leverage, and yield that's going to help us get and deliver results in our game consistently. In that process, we're going to get even faster results by number 1, increasing our volume, so training more, or number 2, by increasing our leverage, so making our training more effective. We also talked about how we can increase our leverage even more through building winning habits, which is what this section of the course is all about. It's all about skill injections as a clever way, a tactical way that we can increase our volume in a high leverage, high impact way. We talk about measuring our progress and the importance of that. And we talk about staying accountable to help us increase our leverage when it comes to that intentionality behind the way we train. So that's a quick recap of where we got up to in this point. And it's pretty clear that if we can consistently apply these processes, if we can stay consistent, if we can add that intentionality behind the way we're approaching our development, and if we can implement these winning habits, then there's going to be a high chance when it comes to being able to achieve our goals and increase our results and increase our impact when it comes to making an impact on the field. Now, there's going to be one thing that's going to make this process more seamless. The idea is a winning environment will make it easy to focus on these things consistently, to add that intentionality, and ultimately be able to get our results in our game consistently and effectively over a longer period of time. So I want to walk you through 3 things that are going to make this process easy, that are going to help us build a winning environment. Now, in order for us to have a winning environment, the first thing that we've got to have is a winning mentality. The truth is, the faster that we can realize that all the abilities that we have on the field, all the skills that we can exhibit, all the results that we have when it comes to the impact we have on the ultimate Frisbee field, the faster that we realize that all that comes down to you and that you're in control of that, the faster that we can take ownership of our development and start putting in the right processes and getting the right knowledge to be able to excel. So especially in your first few weeks inside the academy, I want you to focus on building that winner's mentality. Forget about all the assumptions that people might have of you as a player. Forget about all the limiting beliefs that you might have of yourself. And I just want you to think about where you are right now and where you want to go. And the idea is, between where you want to go and where you are right now, there's just a series of steps that you just have to get through in order to get there. And it's entirely up to you and entirely in your control to be able to walk through those steps and be able to see the results that you want. We'll make sure to give you all the resources, all the knowledge, all the support that you need, but ultimately it's going to come down to the effort that you put in and the intentionality that you put in the way that you train as well. So having that winner's mentality is going to be key when it comes to building that environment that is conducive to our success. The second thing is people. I'm sure you've heard the expression that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. If we're looking to make a change in the way that we're impacting the field in a significant way, then we do want to spend more time with people that are working towards similar goals just like that. Being amongst other people that are working towards similar goals means that you can rely on each other and help each other when you need it, but also you can get the support and the feedback when you need the motivation as well. That's ultimately why we have things like the gain section inside the group as well, so that you guys can get motivation, you guys can spend more time with people around you that are also working towards similar goals just like you, looking to make a bigger impact on the field. The last thing that's going to play an integral role in the way that we approach our development and the way that we see results is our ability to build a winning environment. If we can build an environment where we're constantly increasing our knowledge, we're constantly getting support if we need it, and we're also having fun along the way and staying accountable, then that's ultimately going to reduce the friction when it comes to adding that extra intentionality behind our approach when it comes to training. And it's going to make the process of improvement fun and faster. Again, that's why we have sections inside the group, like our wins category, like our general category, like our calendar, where you guys can get support that you need, get the motivation that you need from other athletes, but also share wins and have fun with other athletes along the way, so that not only is it impactful and not only are you increasing your knowledge week by week, but you're also doing it in a fun and sustainable way, in a way that you actually enjoy and want to continue doing. Cool. That's the end of the section where we talk about curating a winning environment. In the next section, we're going to get really tactical. We're going to be talking about how we can help you get a quick win in your game in your first few weeks inside Ultimate Academy. So I'm really excited to take you through that. But for now, go ahead and mark this section as done. There should be a quiz or a worksheet to complete attached down below. And I'll see you in the next section where we're going to help you get a quick win in your game over the next few weeks. See you in the next page. Welcome to the last section inside your How to Train for Results course inside Ultimate Academy. Now, in this section, it's super exciting because we're going to get really tactical. We're going to go in detail on how we can actually help you get a real impact in your game within the next 14 days. Before we jump into that, make sure you have the video at 1.5 times speed. Make sure you turn on captions so you can get in that value a little bit easier. Take notes along the way and make sure you finish the video, because this is the most important video for your development in this course up to this point. Now, what is the goal of our 14-day impact challenge? It's super simple. Our goal is to get you a quick win in your game in the next 14 days. Now, how are we going to help you achieve that? We're going to do that through a very simple 5-step process. Now, in this video, we're going to explain exactly what that 5-step process and what that 5-step approach is. And in the very next section, in the very next video, we're actually going to help you build a high leverage training plan to help you execute and deliver on this 5-step process. So what is this 5-step process? We've got 5 items in front of us that I'm going to walk you through that are going to help us get a quick win within the next 14 days inside our game. Number 1 is our focus. So based on the course material earlier on in this course, you would have determined a focus in your game: throwing, cutting, catching, or defense. Based on that focus, I want you to record one video. Doesn't have to be very fancy, but I'd like you to record one video about on your movement in one of those topics. So it might be a video of you doing particular throws, it might be a video of you doing particular cuts or particular defensive movement. Whatever it is, I'd like you to submit one video and record one video. Now, once you've got that video, I'd like you to send it directly to me via the school DM. Alternatively, if you want feedback from other members, you can post it in our discussion section, but no pressure, just send it to me in the DMs to start. What that will allow me to do is give you direct feedback when it comes to your throwing form, throwing analysis, your footwork, offensive footwork, defensive footwork, or you can even submit real game footage as well. So whatever it is you're struggling with in your game, if you want feedback on it directly, we can help you get a direct impact there and a direct improvement in that particular area of your game straight away in the next 14 days. From there, we're going to move on to learning 2 new systems. So if you click into the classroom section of our community, you will see that we have our defensive systems course and we have our offensive systems course. Now, based on your focus, I'd like you to click into those courses and learn 2 new lessons or 2 new systems that are going to help you improve your game awareness and improve your game IQ so that you can start applying those systems and increasing your game IQ and impact on the field through those systems. Oftentimes, being able to apply that, being able to understand that knowledge of the game is going to help us get a quick win in our gameplay straight away. From there, we're going to move on to 3 activities. So the idea here is we want to learn 3 new activities that are going to help us improve our movement patterns when it comes to that particular focus. So these might be 3 particular throwing sets, 3 particular defensive drills, or 3 particular offensive drills. You're going to be able to find examples of these inside the activities section inside the classroom. Okay, so being able to learn those 3 new activities is going to be able to improve our movement patterns that we can then directly translate from our drills and then apply inside our gameplay and inside the field. Lastly, and this is where the crux of the 14-day challenge comes along, is throughout the course of the next 14 days, we're going to have 4 days where we have some sort of training planned. Okay, so this might be alongside or adjacent to your regular club trainings via skill injections, or these might be separate sessions to your typical trainings or pickups. For those 4 sessions, our goal is to have some sort of skill injection included where we're working on that particular focus that we've outlined above. So I want to go through that process of developing that movement, applying that movement during the game or during the training, and then consolidating it after. One form of that consolidation is going to be through a gains post. So this comes to our point number 5, is we're going to make 5 posts over the course of the next 14 days. For 4 of them, they're going to document the 4 days of training that we've done. And the format is going to be very simple. It's going to be simply what we did well, what we can improve on, and what action we're going to tie to that improvement. So what are we actually going to do to improve on that improvement area? Now that's going to be 1 post per day so that we can iterate, so that we can build on each day and improve over the course of the 14 days. And we're going to include our 5th post on the very last day of the challenge. Now that's going to be a slightly different post. Instead of documenting exactly what it is that we did, we're going to be sharing a win. So for this last post at the end of the 14 days, I'd like you to make a post inside the wins category of our community discussion. And I want you to share the wins that you were able to get in your approach, in your gameplay, through our 5-step approach and through our 14-day impact challenge. So that's our 5-step approach. We're going to start with 1 focus, 1 video. We're going to go through 2 systems, 3 activities, 4 days, 5 posts. And the goal of that 5-step approach is for us to be able to have a high impact, increase in our impact in our game, a quick win in our game over the next 14 days. And at the end of the 14 days, we're going to mark our progress. We're going to write down exactly what wins we got after completing the challenge. Now you know exactly what the challenge is made of. Now you know exactly how the challenge is going to work. Go ahead and mark this section as done. And in the very next piece, in the very next page, we're going to help you build a high leverage plan so that we can actually execute and implement this 5-step approach over the next 14 days to help you get that quick win in your game. I'll see you in the next page. In this section, we're going to be going through building a high leverage plan so that we can actually execute and deliver on your 14-day impact challenge. Now, before we jump into it, make sure you watch the video on 1.5 times speed. Make sure you turn on captions so it's easier to get in the value. Make sure you take notes as you progress. We're going to have a worksheet for this particular section, so you can take notes on that. And lastly, make sure you finish the entirety of the video because this is the most important part of the course up to this point inside the course. Now we know our 5 key points. We're going to have that 1 focus, our 2 systems, our 3 activities, our 4 days, our 5 posts, our simple approach. Now we actually are going to build a high leverage plan to be able to execute on that 5-step approach. Now, one thing to celebrate and one thing to call out is that having a plan, executing on a plan in itself is a win. Being able to stay disciplined and being able to set out to complete something that we said we are going to do is a win in itself. So kudos to you guys. If we can get this right, very happy. It's a win for discipline. It's a win for accountability. What we're going to do here is we're going to plan 2 weeks at a time. 2 weeks is going to give us enough time to focus on a particular skill to build that skill up. But it's also going to give us time to add progressions and add variations past the 2-week mark. So it's really effective for us to be able to plan 2 weeks at a time because it gives us that flexibility to change focuses or add progressions, add variations 2 weeks at a time. But it also gives us enough time to focus on a specific area and build that out robustly. So we're going to plan 2 weeks at a time. We're going to plan these next 14 days together. Now, one thing to note is it only takes 10 to 15 minutes every 2 weeks to build a really strong plan that we can follow that's going to help us when it comes to getting results in Ultimate. And if you're time poor, like me and like other athletes, take it from your screen time, right? The idea is we're probably spending more than 10-15 minutes a day on our screens. And so if we can take a little bit of that time away from our screens, it's going to mean that we're not losing any other priorities in life, right? But we're still able to focus with 10-15 minutes to plan out our 2 weeks at a time when it comes to Ultimate. So if you guys have 10-15 minutes that you can take away once every 2 weeks to plan out your development, please do it because it is going to mean a difference, a huge difference when it comes to our impact and our preparation in terms of developing these skills and being able to implement and execute on these skills as well. So we are going to use the 14-day focus planner to actually build this high leverage plan. We're going to use this template. We're going to go through it together. Go ahead and click that below the video right now because it'll open up and we can go through that process together. So now I've got the planner up. This is what you're going to see. Some of the answers here you will have already gone through earlier in the course, so just fill them out as you need. So first, highlight your focus pillar. You should already have that. For the purposes of the demo, I'm going to highlight defense. What details in this pillar do you want to focus on? So here's where you go into detail and just write out exactly what you're going to be focusing on. So is that a specific cut? Is that specific defensive footwork? Is that a specific throw, right? This is where you want to detail out exactly what it is in that pillar that you actually want to be working on and focusing on inside the next 14 days. So this comes back to your 14-day goal. What is the outcome? What is the result that you want to achieve within the next 14 days? From here, we go on to the next one. What is the key activity, progression, skill injection that is actually going to help you improve in these details? Now, you can find examples of activities inside our classroom using the link, but a better approach, especially in this scenario where you know exactly what you need to work on, is to create that activity using the development cycle framework that we've gone through before. So isolate the activity, add speed or complexity, and add the game realistic nature. So if you guys need some time, go ahead and pause the video. And I want you guys to actually document out the specific skill injection that you're going to be spending 15 minutes on over the next 14 days. So go ahead and pause the video now to create that 15-minute activity. Now I'll note here that we have this breakdown section as well. So if our form breaks down, I don't want you guys to force the movement when it comes to adding that speed, adding that complexity. I want you guys to be able to regress, break down the activity so that we can still complete it properly with the right form without having to rush it, without having to add too many complex variables. So the idea is we do want to isolate it. Eventually we do want to add up the speed, add up the complexity, but we want to do it in a way that doesn't compromise our form. We want to prioritize quality over quantity. So this breakdown section is going to help us break down an activity, make it more simpler if our form is breaking down, if our results are not consistent. Okay, so if you feel like you're practicing your throws and all of a sudden they're just going everywhere because you're adding too many variables, slow it down, bring it back to basics, come back to isolating it again. Are you going to include any activities to maintain skills in other areas? So this is when we go into a new concept that we haven't talked about before, but it's the idea of maintenance activities. So we might have one focus area, which we have discussed and isolated out in an activity up here, but we might also want to have maintenance skills that we want to focus on in other areas. So this might not take up most of our time. This might just take up 2 or 3 minutes as we're warming up in other areas of our game, so that we can maintain those skills in those areas and still be able to implement them effectively in our games. So instead of spending a 15-minute skill injection where we're focusing on throwing, which might be the focus for us, or defense in this example, we might also have 2 minutes where we're focusing on specific throws, 2 minutes where we're focusing on specific cutting footwork or catching. That way we can still maintain those skills and still have an overarching focus on defense. So I want you guys to document, if you guys have any maintenance skills in other areas that you want to focus on, go ahead and document them now so that you can keep track of some other skills that you want to keep tabs on, still maintain over the next 14 days. With that done, now we're going to go into actually what the high leverage plan is going to look like in your next 14 days. Now I've got an example below, so don't get bewildered by the rainbow colors. But I'm going to walk you through exactly an example so that you guys know how you can approach it, and I'll show you guys how you can fill it out for yourself as well. So 3 steps here. First, make note of what type of training you'll be doing the next 14 days. So you can see here in the plain text, I've got all the types of training that I'm going to be completing in the next 14 days. Now, I train a fair bit, so this might not look like what you usually do, but go ahead and document exactly what training looks like for you. Even if it's just once a week or twice a week, document when you're going to the gym, when you're going to league, when you go to pickups, when you go to training. To be fair, I don't always stick to this schedule, but the idea is this is the rough schedule that I follow. From here, we want to highlight sessions where we're going to be adding a skill injection. So for the specific purpose of our 14-day focus, which you're going to include here, we are going to highlight 4 of these sessions where we're going to add a skill injection. That's a 15-minute session that's focused on our specific focus, whatever it is. So you can see I've highlighted 4 sessions, training, speed workout, training, speed workout, over the next 14 days that I'm going to be adding a specific skill injection onto. So the idea is I'm going to go to those sessions 15 minutes earlier or 20 minutes earlier. I'm going to complete that focused activity on defensive movement, defensive footwork, and then I'm going to document and make a post after as well. So step 3 here is to set reminders to make a post after your 4 sessions and at the end of the 14 days. So you can see that I've written here that after those sessions, I want to make a post so I can document how those skill injections went, but also how it went during the sessions. Did I apply those same things well? And did I also repeat those movement patterns after when I consolidated? So we also want to make that post at the end of those sessions so we can document that, and also so that we can reflect, note that, oh, like this session, I wanted to improve this a little bit better. I can take that onto the next skill injection or the next game or the next workout, and I can apply that. That way we can apply that iterative approach over the next 14 days to help me get a win, ideally, by the end of the 14 days. Now, I also want us to document the times that we're going to be doing the learning inside the group. So we had 5 objectives. We wanted to outline our focus. We wanted to learn 2 systems, 3 activities, 4 sessions, 4 trainings, and 5 posts. So you can see I've got that outlined here, and I want you guys to outline and allocate the time, set the time aside to actually do that learning. The idea here is if you can get the focus right, if you can learn these systems, learn these activities, the chances that they're going to increase your impact on the field are very high. right? So what I want you guys to do, and you can see here an example, on Monday, I'm allocating some time aside to decide on my focus. On Tuesday, I'm allocating some time aside to learn the specific systems inside the group. So I've got 2 systems there that I have in mind that I want to learn inside the classroom. On Wednesday, I'm going to learn 3 activities, right? So I'm going to spend a focused amount of time inside the classroom, going through specific activities around my focus area so that I'm ready to apply them in these skill injections on Thursday and Saturday and the following week. Okay. You can see then I've highlighted the specific sessions that I'm going to be adding those skill injections to, and you can see that I've documented exactly when I'm going to be posting as well. Okay. Now, it is a little bit of effort. There is some intentionality behind the effort that you're putting in, but the idea is if you're able to do this, there is a very high chance that you're able to increase your impact within just the next 14 days. If you can put these systems in place, do these activities, get my specific feedback as well. So get that one focus, but also get that one video and send that over to me so that you can get specific feedback there. There's a high chance that if you do all those things, we can help you get into the rhythm of training in this high leverage way, and we can help you get a result in the next 14 days and beyond. So please make sure this is your time to pause the video. Please make sure to complete this section so you can delete what I've got here in your own copy. And once you've created that, I want you to sign and date below to confirm that you'll stick to the plan. So this is really the most important part where it comes to actually executing. Again, it's going to take some intentionality. It's going to take a little bit of effort, but the idea is if we can spend a little bit of time doing this planning, it will save us weeks, maybe even months of additional effort trying to develop these skills separately in a different approach. So this is really my high leverage, high impact way of getting results quickly. And so if you guys just follow my steps, I guarantee that you guys will have a really high chance of achieving the results that you want. So create that plan. Once you've created that plan and once you've set aside the training that you're going to be doing during the week, go ahead and sign and date this document as well. Perfect. That is the end of our 14-day focus planner. That is the end of helping you build a high leverage plan for the purpose of this 14-day impact challenge. Now, in the very next section, we're going to be going through applying essential activities and essential systems. So we're actually going to be going in detail on the specific activities that I think will help move the needle the most when you're first starting inside your 14-day impact challenge. So in the very next video, I'm going to be taking you through the specific activities and systems that are going to be helping make the biggest difference in your game within the next 14 days. Go ahead and mark this section as done. Make sure you complete that worksheet if you haven't already. Go ahead and sign it, date it, send it over to me if you want for an added layer of accountability. And then I'll see you in the very next section where we're going to go again in detail, super tactical, on what exactly you can be doing that's going to help move the needle, make a bigger impact in your game in the next 14 days. I'll see you in the next video.